In this section, we're going to cover the most important part of an SEO audit, that is on-page optimization. We'll not only talk about what on-page optimization is and all the factors that fall under it, but we'll also look at how to find out how your website scores in all of these areas. So get ready to take a lot of notes because you're about to start your own SEO audit now. Now we're ready to start looking at the on-page SEO factors. All of these factors affect how your website or your particular web page will be listed in the organic search engine results. Remember what I mentioned, the all-in-one SEO audit tools. Many of these only cover on-site SEO factors because they can access this information directly on your website. Now we're going to be looking at some of these tools, but I'm also going to take you step by step through each factor because even if you can pull this information up using these tools, you need to know what you're looking for so that you can implement the right changes. All of these on-site factors will check to see how well optimized your website already is for search engines. So let's start breaking some of these factors down right now. Before we start, we need to know what keywords the site is being optimized for and what keywords or key phrases you want to rank for. This will be needed when we look at some ranking factors throughout this course. If you've done any SEO work at all before, you've probably already gathered a list of keywords you'd like to rank for, so you can use those in this audit. If not, there are two things you want to do. First, just brainstorm a list of the keywords you believe a user would search for to find your website. And then we can go ahead and take a look at what the top keywords are that currently refer traffic to your site. One thing that you can do is go into the Google Keyword Planner. You'll need a free Google AdWords account to do this. You can go ahead and paste in some of your keywords. Make sure that you select only your area and your language that you'll be looking at. And you can look to see how many results there are. Now again, this is for some paid ads, but this can give you a general idea. And there really isn't much happening here. So these may not be the best keywords. But let's go back. You can also search for a new keyword. So I could type in, let's say, lawn mowing in Centerville, and I can see what pops up. Now here, this is really nice because this can give me an idea of some other ways to phrase lawn mowing, or I see here mowing services, I see lawn cutting, those are some things lawn business, I can do lawn mowing companies. So this is already starting to generate some other ideas that I could search for. Another thing that you can do is go to a tool called SEMrush.com, and this will give you a number of free searches. So you don't have to pay for this right up front. And you can type in your website domain. I'm going to go back to our website for a second and get the domain. I'll pop that in here. And this should tell us both the organic search, paid search, and what our competition is. Now, when I take a look here, it's saying it's not telling me anything about organic search. So let's do this. I want to try to look at one of their competitors so we can get a better idea. Because oftentimes, if you want a list of keywords, you can go look at your competitors, then you cannot just take other people's keywords, but it might give you some ideas of ways that you can phrase things. Now here, you'll see this website is getting a lot of organic search traffic. And this is one that does come up as one of their competitors and somebody I've been looking at. So we can look at this in more detail here. All of their top keywords seem to be for people who already know about them. So I think click here to get a full report to get a better idea of some other keywords. Now here there's things like brown patch. So there's different problems that people are typing in that they have with their lawn. So that may be something that the business owner hasn't already thought of. Lawn care services, lawn weed control service, slugs in lawn. I don't even know what that means. I am not a lawn expert, but that's something we can present to the client. Seeding in spring. So these are things that this particular website is pulling out from. This is going to give us some great ideas for keywords. So once you have your keywords, you can always go back to the Google Keyword Planner and you can type them in there and you can look for the search volume as well to see if those might be a better fit for you. But go ahead, take a moment now and do a search for your own keywords. Now that we just talked about keywords, I want to take a look at how many times these keywords are included on each page. Again, I'm going to look at the home page, but I'm also going to go later and take a look at the services page to see how well that's doing as well. This is SEO Books. Keyword Density Analyzer is a free tool that you can use. And we're going to look at how many times they use their keywords in their text. So I'm going to do a quick search for their website. And again, it's going to give me the summary of the page title, the keywords that are in the website code, and their description. I see they mentioned landscaping, mowing, edging in their title. However, they only mention Northern Virginia, not Senator, but what you're saying they want to rank for. So I'm going to have to double check that for them. Centerville is within Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia covers several cities. So we need to take a look at that. They have a lot of keywords here. Some seem to be related, some not, some they're saying simply Northern Virginia. So we want to tidy up this list a bit, but I may be able to pull some other ideas from what they've listed here versus the list that they gave me as well. Now going down, I can look at 1, 2, and 3 keyword phrases. I'm going to focus on the 2 and 3 keyword phrases, probably more so the 3-word list, as the first just one more list isn't going to do much for our ranking here. I see live lawn and get 6 times on the homepage, lawn and prosper 6 times. Those are what they're looking to rank for. So now we have Centerville Lawn Care 2 times, Lawn Care Chantilly, which is nearby Lawn Care, Centerville 2 as well. So a lot of these it looks like as we go down the list, there are some mowing service, Centerville, Virginia Landscaping Center Row. These are coming up just 2 times. So this may be something that we want to focus on. We don't necessarily need to list all of these keywords on the home page. We just want to target a couple per page, let's say, but we want to include them in the text. Now, whether you include them 123 times, what I'm going to tell you to focus on is doing it so that it's natural, so that the content flows naturally for the reader. That's what you want to focus on. If you can keep that reader on the page, it's going to do better for your search engine rankings anyway. So let's focus on keeping things natural, but making sure that at the same time you are including some of your key phrases or keywords in your content. So go through and do the search for your top pages that you're focusing on here in the Keyword Density Analyzer. Titles are the most important part of your page for both SEO and social sharing purposes. They are what describe each page to both the search engines and your visitors. So you want to make sure that they're good and that they're good for both. The titles and descriptions are shown on browsers, search engine results, and external sites like Facebook. So you want to make sure that they're going to grab people's attention. They should both be unique and accurately describe the page that you're on. They should be unique for each page. So we want to make sure that they are not being duplicated. And we want to make sure that the description accurately describes the page. And when entice a visitor to click on the link, we also want to make sure that the title and descriptions are including the keywords, and we want to make sure that those keywords are listed towards the beginning so that they all have more weight in getting ranked for those keywords. And that will also encourage visitors to click through. Titles should have anywhere from about 50 to 60 characters, and descriptions should have anywhere from about 150 to 160 characters at most. There's this really neat tool called Snippet Optimizer. .net, where you can paste in your link and it will tell you what your title is and what your description is. Here you'll see they have 2 too many characters and in their title and 3 too many characters in the description, and you'll get a preview over here on the right hand side and you can see where the title and the description both get cut off. Now my recommendation here is that if you have a big huge brand and that's what people are searching for, great, included in your title, although you'll probably want to include it towards the end so your keywords can go towards the beginning. However, this company is small. Most people are not going to be searching for this particular name. I'd say remove it and focus on a good compelling title that people are going to click on. They do list several keywords, but again, they mentioned Northern Virginia, not Centerville, so we're going to have to take a look at that. They have a nice description, but again, it starts out with their business name rather than having some more of their keywords towards the beginning. So that's something we could adjust as well. I also want to take a look at their services page and see how that looks. Because again, we need to do this for each page. I see they do have a unique title and description. Again, they're using their name, the title, services, and pricing that's not compelling. So we want to do something a little bit different there. The description. Again, that sounds a little bit like it's written for search engines, not for people. So we want to focus a little bit more on getting some keywords toward the beginning and making that so people would want to click on it. If you're having trouble with the title, let's say we're going to go back to this original title here, Landscaping Mowing Edging in Northern Virginia. I'm going to copy that. And we're going to go over here to this Coast Scheduler Headline Analyzer. And I can type in my headline. It's going to analyze it for me, got a score of 55. And I can go through and tells me it's a pretty common headline. It's okay. Tells me my headline is generic here. There's this neat. It tells me what length I should use, how many words that I should use, and I can see how it actually comes up in search engines. If you're having trouble coming up with good titles, there's different tools that will come up with titles for you. So you can type in some keywords and it'll give you a whole list of some different ideas. And you can go through and you can add different keywords in and you might be able to use that. What I'll do is I'm going to include a list here of some different tools that you can use. Another thing you want to think about is if you post your link or somebody else posts your link on Facebook, for example, how is that going to appear? You can see it doesn't have the nicest image, but again, your title and description are going to come up. So that is another reason why it's so important to have a compelling title and description. It's not just for search engines, it's for visitors too, and they are the reason why we're doing all of this. So go ahead and take a moment to look at the titles and your descriptions for the most important pages that you're going to be focusing on in this audit and determine if they are going to need additional work. It's very important when setting up your website that you consider the URL structure that you will be using throughout your website, because you want to make sure that every URL, especially on the pages that you will be optimizing our SEO and user friendly, we want the search engines to be able to understand each URL so that they know what is on the page. And we also want users to be able to tell what is on the page based on the URL alone. It also makes it very easy for them to share with others. Think about if they are posting it to Facebook or to Twitter, the shorter and more condensed URL you can have, the better. Ideally, your URL should be less than 255 characters, and that includes your domain name. That should, for the most part, for small business related websites, for example, be very easy to do. You should actually be able to create a much shorter URL than that. However, when you get into some larger, let's say e-commerce websites that have lots of products and lots of categories, that can get a little trickier. So you just want to pay attention to that character count. You can use online tools like characterscount.com where you can paste in the URL and it will tell you how many characters you're using. You do want to try and include your keywords within your URL, and you can separate the different keywords with a hyphen. But again, don't try to stuff it, make sure it makes sense. That's your primary goal, that it's going to make sense for your users. So to sum it up, don't overuse your keywords. So let's take a look at these two URL structures. For example, this is based on looking for an LG G3 mobile phone. Clearly, you can see which one is going to be more user and SEO friendly. So this is an example of being able to use your domain name followed by a category and even a subcategory to using your primary keyword. And that is really how you want to lay out your domain if you need to divide it into subcategories. So before setting up your website, think about the URL structure that you're going to use, especially if you'll have a blog or you'll have a lot of categories and you'll need to break the URL down into categories and subcategories. Similar to checking for header tags, we want to look for certain text formatting that is good for search engines and visitors. Because remember, we're not just solely focusing on search engines because websites are created for visitors, so we need to make sure that they look good to them. There are 3 text formatting techniques that you can use, and those are creating lists, whether it's a bulleted list or a numbered list, bolding text, and italicizing text. Bolding or italicizing text tells search engines what is important on the page, what is included on this page. So if there are places within your content where you list keywords, such as here we have landscaping services, we may want to bold that or italicize it. Now, this does not mean go through and bold or italicize every single keyword. Highlight it where it's important. And you can do that a couple times in a page. If you're not sure which text formatting to use, think about your visitor first. What would be helpful to them? People often scan a page quickly. They don't read long pages. So what do you want to jump out to them? And then that's the text formatting that you should go with. Another thing, in looking at this services page, visitors are not likely to read through all of this. So what they may be able to do is when they include their header tags, to be able to summarize some of these into bullet points so that people can quickly jump to the service that they would like and then quickly see what would be involved with that particular service. So again, think about the 3 top text formatting techniques you can use, which is using lists, bolding text, or italicizing text. Canonicalization is something you absolutely need to think about for SEO purposes. And you may be wondering what in the world this is. This is your way of telling search engines which version of content they should show to searchers when you have duplicate content on your website. And you may be thinking, I know, I don't have any duplicate content, but you probably do without even realizing it. Let's look at these 4 URLs. For example, they all go to the homepage of the Live Long and Prosper website, but you'll notice they're all slightly different. The first does not have www, the second one does. The third one has HTTPS, where the others do not. And the final one has a / index, that HTML at the end of the URL. These are actually seen as 4 separate pages by search engines. So it's very important that you correct this so that they know which version they should actually be pulling up. And you are not penalized for having duplicate content on your website. This is where the relationship canonical tag comes in. By placing this in your page links, as you can see right here, this tells Google or Bing, for example, that this page should be seen as a duplicate and the original page is the URL that precedes it. That way, Google will in turn pull up that primary URL. This often happens when you have created a blog. And let's say you create a post that you add to multiple categories. Each time you add it to a category that is creating duplicate content, even though it's pulling from the same post. To correct this, you want to make sure that you set your preferred domain. If you're using WordPress, you can do this in the settings within WordPress, but you can also go to your Google Webmaster Tools account. And when you're logged into the home page, you can click on the gear icon and go to Site Settings. There you'll see the preferred domain section and you can select the option that you want. Now that will take care of the www and non-www versions of your domain. You can use a tool such as SiteLiner to look to see if you have any duplicate content. Here, it shows me that the home page as well as /index.html are duplicate just as we had looked at. So this is where I will need to go into my Google Webmaster Tools account. I need to specify which URL I will be using. And I can also do what is called a 301 redirect for URLs. And I can point the index.html page to the actual home page. This way, Google will send the traffic from one URL to the other and Google will know which is the primary URL they should be looking at. Header tags are your way of telling Google what your page is all about. It tells them what is most important on your page. And header tags are represented by H1 through H6 tags, with H1 being the largest size and H6, making the text be the smallest size. For SEO purposes, you're going to be sticking with the H1 tag for your main titles and the H2 tags for any subheadings. So you really only want to use the H1 tag once per page. But you can break up pages with multiple H2 tags to let Google know about different important sections throughout your page, especially if you have a longer page. So I want to go to the Live Long and Prosper website. and I want to take a look to see if they have any header tags. I noticed here that they have several larger headings that represent each of their services, but I want to see if those are included as H1 tags. And the easy way to see this without having to go into the code is to install a free Chrome plugin called Moz Bar. And when you're on the page that you want to take a look at, you can simply open the Moz Bar. You can click on the page analysis button. You'll see if I scroll down here that it says there are no H1 or H2 tags found. That means although they have several headings here that none of them are included in those tags. This means my recommendation is going to be that they place their services tag in an H1 tag, but they may want to add a keyword in there such as landscaping services, and then all of the subheadings being lawn mowing, landscaping and maintenance, leaf removal, etc. those should be included as H2 tags. So those will still show a large font, but that will show search engines what is most important on this page and what this page is all about. So go through each of your pages and make sure that you're including the H1 and H2 tags, and make sure to include some of your keywords in those titles as well, as you can probably guess. Without me having to tell you, having unique and high quality content on your website is going to be a huge factor in your success. Every single page on your website must have unique content. You do not want to have any duplicate content that is on any other website out there. Now, especially if somebody else has created your website, you allow others to submit content to your website, or you had someone write content for you, you may want to use a tool like Copyscape, where you can paste in your URL and you can search to see if there's any duplicate content. If you don't feel that your quality is quite up to par, I recommend that you start with your most viewed or your most popular pages and focus on those to start with, and make sure they have excellent content. Make sure it's properly formatted and optimized, as we've been talking about. If you're not sure which are your most viewed pages, you can go into your Google Analytics account. You can go down to behavior and select overview below. You will be able to see your top performing pages. The home page here is by far the most viewed page, followed by the services page. So those are the ones that we want to focus on first for this particular site. Depending on how large your site is, you may have a longer list of pages that you really want to focus on immediately. Now, what I suggest doing is going back to the website, and we're going to take a look at these pages. Now, I would recommend to this website owner that they add additional content to their home page, because they probably only have 300 words here listed on their home page. It's really not enough for this home page to be able to rank and to beat out competition. And when I read through their intro here, it's primarily focused on the business. It's all about the business. On the home page, you want to give visitors what they came to the website for. You want to tell them what it is that you can do for them. If they want to know more about you, they'll go looking for an about page. So this is an opportunity to add more content, make it more about the visitor, and show off what it is that you can do to help them. I can't give an exact word count to the website owner. It's not just about how many words. If you have the most words, you automatically win. Again, it's about having high quality content. You want to have enough content that you are telling the user what it is that they want to know. You want to be able to have enough words that you can appropriately add in some of your keywords into the content and into title tags within the page. You will also want to be able to link out to some of your other pages. So the shorter your content is, the harder that is to do. You will also want to make sure that you don't have any content that is out of date. If content starts to get old, you may want to consider removing it from your site if it's no longer going to be useful. Search engines do look at how much a page is updated, how often is changed or updated. If you've added new pages, or you add new posts, if you have a blog, or even if you've simply made important changes to a particular page without necessarily rewriting it, and they're more focused on the important parts of your website, such as the main body text area, that's going to hold more weight than if you just switch up the navigation a little bit or swap out some advertisements. And lastly, what you can do, whether you have a business website, you have a blog, you have an online store, you can give users a way to share your content. First, this means that you have to give them content that's worth sharing. But second, Are you even asking them to share your content? You got to make it easy for them. You want to include some share buttons on your content. So all your pages must have high quality and unique content. But go back, start with your top 2 or 3 or even 5 pages that are the most popular and most viewed on your website and go from there. Having excellent images on your website is great because it really makes the website a lot more attractive for your visitors. But the bad news is they aren't so great for search engines because it can slow down your site's load time, as we'll talk about in an upcoming lecture. But search engines also cannot read your images, so they have no idea what they're about. There's a couple of things that you can do to counter this. The first is that you can compress images to minimize their size. And the second is you can add image alt tags that include your keywords to let search engines know what your image is about, to compress images. You can do that within tools like Photoshop. There's even some WordPress plugins that you can use, but it's best to do it off of your website. There's also tools online such as compressor.io where you can simply upload your image and it will automatically reduce the size for you while still keeping a good quality looking image. You can use the SEO tool by Feed the Bot, and you can look at the image section here as well, and it is going to tell you whether or not you've used all tags for the images. So you can simply scroll down and it's going to show you all of the images on your website. And you'll see here that it says add on text. This means that none of these images has the website owner added on text. That means for every single one of these images, we need to go back and we need to add in this tag here into the image code. And we can include a descriptive title that also includes some of our keywords as long as it represents the image accurately. And when you upload your images, you also want to use descriptive file names because that is another opportunity for you to tell Google what your image is about. So use the Feed the Bot tool, takes a look at your images, see if they use all tags, and make sure that you compress images and optimize them for the web before you upload them. Internal links point to another page on the same website. These internal links help search engines navigate your website. And if you have pages that cannot be found through a menu or not linked to from another page, that means search engines cannot find them. So if those are pages that you want to rank, you have to link them from within your website somewhere. So in this instance, when I am working on ranking the home page and the services page, which are my most popular pages, I need to look to see are those pages linked elsewhere within the site, because the pages that you want to rank should be linked to the most from other pages on your website. You should link those pages directly from your home page and from the sidebar if you can as well. So in looking at the home page, there is nowhere that links to the services page except by going to the menu. This is an opportunity when I rewrite the content on the home page to make sure that I include a link to the services page. I can also go into the portfolio and can include a link at the bottom where it takes a user to see more of the services and link back to the page. And I can also go through the testimonials and find a way to link there. Just keep the number of links reasonable. Anywhere from 2 to 5 internal links per page is appropriate. But again, remember when we were talking about content, you need to have enough content that adding those links in there is helpful to the users. And it makes sense. If you have a very small paragraph like we have here on the home page and you add in 5 links, that's going to be a bit excessive. It's not going to make much sense. Start out by selecting your most important pages, the ones that you want to rank, and go through your website and make sure that they have the most internal links compared to other pages on your website. Broken links are obviously a bad sign for search engines and visitors. Search engines who come across a broken link can't go any farther. And the same for visitors. Do you want to check in your web and Google Webmaster Tools under crawl errors to see if you have any broken links? You can also use a tool like this W3C link checker to see if you have any broken links. It will process and it will show you the results below. And here if it says status 404 error, that means that is a broken link. So here I will see that livelong in prosper.com / their phone number is a broken link. And if I go back to the website, I'll see that at the top of their website, this does in fact come up as a link. So of course, if you click it, that means the search engines and visitors will go to this 404 error page, which means are likely going to close the website and their search. So it's a good idea to check your Google Webmaster Tools on a regular basis, or to check using broken link checkers online to see if you have any broken links and to correct those as quickly as possible. Your web pages load time and page speed is one of the most, if not the most important element, as it affects SEO results in conversion. Search engines like to see websites that load very quickly, but then again, so do visitors. I'm sure at some point you visited a website and you sat there was loaded, and what you probably did was click the back button. And we want to make sure that that does not happen to you. So there are a number of ways that you can check your website speed and determine what it is that you need to do to make it even faster. You can go to webpagetest.org and type in your URL, and you'll see that it will grade you in a number of areas. What's most helpful on this page is going down to the bottom where it has a content breakdown, and it shows you what is taking the longest under requests and bytes. So you'll see here that in purple it's images. This is what is taking the most amount of time. That means the images on this website are too big and we need to compress them. We can also go back to page speed by Feed the Bot, and we can go to the page speed. By Feed the Bot section, we can type in our URL, and this is going to tell us what is slowing down our website and how we can fix it, which is great. So here it says that we have a 70 out of 100. So our web page is slow. So if we scroll down, this tells me the issues that were found. It says that I need to enable compression, browser caching, and then it talks about a number of scripts, CSS, HTML, JavaScript. That means it's trying to pull a lot of code from different files that are not available directly on that page. Since search engines can only read so much code as they go through your website, developers often take that code and place it in external files, and then simply place one line of code in the website that tells the web page to look to that external file in order to load. However, once you start getting too many of those external files, it can really slow down your site. So here you'll see below that there are 3 CSS files, 3 external scripts like JavaScript files, and 13 images. And that is really what's slowing down the site. To enable compression, we can click on the link there, and it's going to actually tell you what it means and how to actually enable compression on your website. This is actually done in a htaccess file, which you can find with all of your other website files. It's simply a text file. What you need to do is copy the text that you see here, add it to your htaccess file, save it and refresh your web page. And then you want to retest it again. Here it says that there's a gzip compression tool. That is where you can go to actually check to make sure the changes you made are working. Now you can do the same thing for browser caching, which is also going to give you additional code to put in your .htaccess file. Now, this is another tool that I really like, the Google Developers Page Speed Insights. This is going to tell you how fast your web page loads on mobile and desktop devices. You'll see here that it's not looking very good on mobile devices. And I go over to desktop, they're performing a little better, but still needs some work. Now, when you go between these two, you're going to see that they have a lot of the same issues. So making the one fix is going to fix it for both mobile and desktop devices. But you'll see I want to focus here on the red. Now, these are some of the things we just talked about, from reducing the number of JavaScript and CSS files, the browser caching and enabling compression, going down to optimizing images. So you'll see those are the things that we talked about. So this is what will go in and fix for this particular website, and it should dramatically increase the speed of this website. Now you might think having a user-friendly website doesn't have much to do with search engine optimization, but it really does, because the longer a visitor stays on your website, the better. If you've looked at all through your Google Analytics account, you may have seen what's called bounce rate. And bounce rate is what percentage of the visitors that come to your site immediately hit the back button and leave so clearly. The higher the number, the worse off it is. You want to have as low of a bounce rate as possible because that means the visitors that are coming to your website are finding it useful and it matches what they were looking for. So when I look at the website, I want to make sure that there is a very easy to follow navigation. Now this is a simple website. They have a very clear navigation system. It's listed in the order with the home page being first, the contact being last. A lot of websites will list the about page as the second menu item that typically comes directly before the contact page because visitors come to a website looking for services, products, or information. And that is what should be listed first. If they want to find out more about a company or contact them, they know to go towards the end of the menu because that's typically where it's at. So I'm looking to make sure that visitors find information quickly. They can easily do that on this website. I also want to go page by page and see if the website has a consistent look and feel. Here, the background of the body area has changed. The portfolio, it flows. It's a little bit different. But again, we have these green boxes here. So it's clear that this is the same website. But for some reason, the services and pricing has a different background. But it still flows. It's still obvious. So this isn't a huge fix, but it's something that they may want to take into consideration. There's also no sidebar, which would give visitors a way to jump through the site to access information that they may be interested in as well. Many times people have a blog and that looks different than their actual website. So you want to make sure that no matter what you have on your website, that you have a consistent layout and look. If you will be having advertisements on your site, you don't want to have too many ads above the fold. This could be Google AdSense. This could be other affiliate offers that you have, for example. And if you're not sure what's appropriate, I suggest that you look at the Google AdSense recommendations. And like I said, even if you're not using Google AdSense, looking at what Google AdSense tells you to do is a good indicator of what Google itself thinks is an appropriate amount of ads above the fold. So it's good to follow Google's guidelines. And I'll attach the documentation to that in this lecture as well, so you can access if you will be offering ads.